And good afternoon, everybody. It's not quite evening yet in the East Coast, but it's close to it. And today we're going to be I'm doing a product feature class or workshop, however you like to call it, for Fanfare and Journey owners. And the reason why I chose those two models for this is because the layout and the template, if you will, the cosmetics are designed very similarly, so I'm going to reference both of those. I have a couple students here, a couple more that'll be back in just a minute. So I'm going to pay them $1,000 virtual dollars if you could figure out who this person is with those feet. Nobody will be able to guess. No. But anyway, I'm going to open up with a little music here first, and then what I'll do is go into learning you a thing or two, okay? So let's just start off with some pretty music. This is one of my favorite songs. I say that about a lot of the songs I play. So this is actually a song called Through the Eyes of Love, the theme from Ice Castles, okay? Let's see if I remember how to play it. Applause. All right, well, before I go any further, let me tell you what I used. I used the style that is called soliloquy. All right, and that is found on the Broadway button. And that would be on your Broadway on the piano. Sorry, let me back up. Broadway, yes, Broadway pianists. Okay? And then what I did before, I don't know if you caught this, but we'll talk about this in a little bit. But when I turned on the style that I wanted, before I played the song, I went through and I just kind of tapped out a few notes just to see what kind of sounds I like. I like that. Okay. just kind of went through and what I did is I found the ones that I want. But what I also did is I was looking in the window, because anytime you have a preset that you're using, the window will tell you, I'm sure you know this by now, it'll tell you what sound is programmed on the top and the lower right. So the first one said piano, strings, and flute. So I knew what to expect there. And then as I went to number 4, strings, I knew strings, and then I had a woodwind here. Okay? Now, here's a little gift for you. If you want, at the very end of the song when I was playing, listen closely, I did this. Would like to know what those notes are, of course, you could watch this video and pause it, because this is being recorded. It'll be up on our YouTube channel. I have a copy of this music, and at the end of the music, I have a separate page that has those notes, and you can play those notes. You can play along with that particular ending. But let me just say this right now: those notes are going to work with that style, and the style is called soliloquy. Soliloquy, okay? So if you email me, in my email, if you want to write this down, it's rroman, it's RROMAN at FletcherMusic.com. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat there so it'll pop up as well in your, I got to really squint here. Every time I plug the computer so I have the TV plugged into the computer plugged into the TV, so when I'm looking at the camera I can see it's a little bigger. But everything on my computer goes down in size. Words get tiny and stuff. Yes?
At the end where you had that drum, that was cool. Is that part of that soliloquy, or is that something that...
At the very end?
Yeah, you had the drums like a kettle drum.
You mean here? Oh, yeah. Oh, so shoot, the question I had behind me was, how I basically got that effect. That's kind of like a timpani, bum, 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 okay? That's built into that rhythm style. So if you just play the ending, at the very end, it's going to do that, okay? Now, you can email me, but next time you come in, I'll have it printed out for you, okay? Okay, I just got to dig it out of my computer somewhere and hit print. Okay, so anyway, that's how I started. That wasn't really intended for the class. But what I did do is I used the setups in the instrument. Now, I don't know how many of you have had your instrument, how long, how much you know. So I'm going to go over some things that I'm going to pretend like you'd never had one of these. You never had a Fanfare or Journey, and this is brand new. Okay, I'm going to start there and kind of work my way through to some of the important features that I think that you should have. The first feature is the obvious, and that is the style setups, okay? You have lots of setups. When you power up the organ, let me just start up from scratch. Remember where my volume is. Let me go over, you're going to hear us, if you join us online, that happens a lot. We get funny noises in the background. I love it. One time I heard someone yelling at their insurance agent about a claim they were making. I didn't want to mute it. It was having fun just listening. And then one time there was a person talking to their stockbroker. So anyway, so you're going to hear this. I would make a note of this. If you join us online, if you watch any of our demos, on YouTube. Some of you may be Patreon members where you go back and you watch a lot of the classes. And we have two terms that we use, and they really mean the same thing. And every now and then I'll get a question like, well, what's it? I heard someone say this. What is that on mine, or what does that mean? And the word is setup, or the word is preset. Okay? When we say the word preset or setup, we're really talking about the same thing. And the reason for that is the Lowrey models up until 2010, I want to say, no, 12, all of the Lowrey organs that came out when they had presets and setups, they were called presets on the organ, okay? And then when the EYs and the EXs are all the E models, this is an EY product, by the way. Journey is EY 320. Fanfare is EY 300, okay? EZ series they were just, the name of the organ is called the same as the model, EZ 10, EZ 4. Some of you are familiar with those models. And then the higher end EYs, Inspire Rialtos, those are called EY 400, EY 400A, I want to say. And then the top of the line at that time was EX, all EE. All of those E models, these buttons were called setups. So as I'm teaching, if I stumble on my words and I accidentally say preset, just remember I'm referring to a setup. Okay, and it's important to know because you're going to hear us say that a lot. We cater to all the models. But when you're looking at, when you first turn on the organ, you have these 8 buttons here that do multiple things. Oops, I'm going to have to go down here now. Otherwise, I'm going to be a headless music teacher. I don't want to scare anybody. All right, so these are the presets, setups. If you turn it on, your style setup button right next to it, and if you maybe don't pay attention to it too much, but it's on, it's in yellow. And all that simply means it's on standby. Okay? It's not doing anything. It won't do anything until we get over here, which we'll talk about in a second. If you just turn it on and you push 1 through 8, you're going to get 8 what we call general setups. These general setups will set up a sound on the top and your lower right keyboard over there. Okay? Now I might play it manually, feet and pedals, or I might put on the easy button. The point is I'll play a few of the sounds, and if you just turn it on and I'll just put on the easy button, and if you don't do anything, first of all, the power up setting, you get this beautiful symphonic strings on the top keyboard. Okay, and on the bottom keyboard you have a piano and strings. So someone can essentially turn it on and play it like a piano if they want. But if I'm going to put the easy button on, as you go through, you have these general setups. Number 1 says piano and strings, and vibes on the rower. 2 gives you Spanish guitar, flute. You got an organ sound, sax, and so forth. All these beautiful setups. I won't go through them all. Strings, you got chimes. Oops. Here we go. Choir, sorry. Chimes. I saw chimes, but I didn't look closely in the window. Chimes is on the lower right. And 6, jazz guitar, organ, jazz guitar, electric guitar, and so forth. All right? Now, your style setup is still yellow. So here's kind of something that happens a lot, and some people figure it out, and then some people don't, and they can't understand what happened. So the style setup is in yellow on standby, and all it means is that the minute I press a style, and this is another one of the things we say several different ways. Sometimes we'll say music style, sometimes we'll say rhythm style, sometimes we'll just say the word rhythm. It's all this, we're all referring to the same thing. And what we're basically saying is, big band, country, Dixieland, Latin, samba, we're referring to those. Those are all generally on the left side of the organ. We used to call them, I think a lot of the artists over the years used to call it rhythm and blues, because most people would kind of relate to that. So you got your rhythm in blue buttons towards the left, okay? Now you may not be able to see it from there, but the minute I press it, maybe you could see it from there. You can see, can you kind of see that yellow color there a little bit on that button? Now when I press the first rhythm, it turns red. Just means it's been activated. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't know this. They think, here's what we tell everyone. When you pick a rhythm on the organ, you now have 8 different setups for every single rhythm. And technically, you have 9. People forget that there's a 9th one there, because there's no number 9 listed. The 9th one is on the style setup initially. That's called style setup 0. Okay? So you have whatever I just selected, I have 8 setups plus the 0, making it 9. Okay? So, let me give you an idea. Okay, so what I did earlier is I picked a rhythm, and as I pressed the buttons, I was looking at the different sounds that I had. Now, here's some math for you. So just so you know, you have fanfare owners out there. You have 1, 2, oh, I could just do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36, and 36 times 2 is 72. Okay, so you have 72 styles of music listed in these 12 buttons. All right? So 72 music styles. Every style has 9 different setups to use for every single style. Just brilliant, okay? And there's actually some kind of, there's a lot of the presets will give you certain sounds all the time. In other words, a category sound, and I'll get back to that in a minute. So, journey owners, you have the journey? Okay, so the journey, same process, but take 72 times 2, you have 144, and same concept, okay? Same buttons on the panel. All they did is they redesigned how the buttons work, okay? Actually, what I'll do for you folks, just for a minute, I think I have an owner's manual, both of these here. Let's see, that's so tiny, so tiny. All right, here's the fanfare. If you go in your owner's manual towards the back to page 53, it'll tell you I don't know if you could see that, if you have your manual, or if you could kind of see around the camera there. It'll tell you every rhythm button that you have, the button name, think of it like a category, okay? And it tells you that when you select the standards button, if you push your full band, pianist, or guitarist button on the dash, you're going to get Frank and the Count, 2-beat piano, guitar swing, okay? And then you have a button that's called Group 2. Don't write that down. because you're going to go home looking for a button you don't have. Okay? I'm on the Fanfare right now. And when you turn on group 2, what happens is that same button name, standards, now has under full band pianists and guitarists, Smooth Foxtrot, Jazz Club, and Gypsy Rag. Okay? So Lowrey was very clever, and when they designed the instruments over the years, as technology improved, it allowed them to put more in the instruments without having to put a lot more buttons. They basically make a button do more. Okay? And you can go through the entire list and you'll see et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of good to look through your rhythm styles because you may see some in there that you normally don't see if you don't push the button. You know, I find styles all the time when, oh, I didn't know that was on this one. You know. Now you Journey owners, what happened, the Journey, it's so tiny here. Okay. Go back to here, last page, or towards the back, should I say. Okay, it's on 2 pages here. I'll just use 1 page as an example. So what happened with the Journey was the Fanfare, when it was out, it was such a huge success for Lowrey. After so many years, they naturally have to come up with new models, as they've always done over there, as any company does, right? And the rumor I heard was basically when they were having their roundtable discussion, which was multiple discussions, I'm sure, and the artists and the people that travel, the reps, and you know, they all get feedback from the customers, and because they basically said in short, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Fanfare was such a huge success, and it was such a well-received model for the size. So what Lowrey did is they took the Fanfare cabinet and kept it. They kept the panel and they kept it. And then they went a step further and made the same buttons do more. Okay? So if you have your Journey, when you press the same standard button, instead of using a group 2 in the window, in this example here, it'll show you, when I have the full band press, it'll show all 4 of these in the window. Okay, so it's just a slightly different way of getting the styles, but the number of buttons didn't change. Okay, and then the same thing with the pianist and guitarist. And so that's just kind of a simple way of how they were able to put more into an instrument without having to add more buttons. So going back to, you have a style setup, and you have plus 8 more, so you have 9 different setups for every one of your rhythm styles, however many you have. And that's a setup, it's always going to set up something on the top and the lower right. Now, I've noticed as I played these 2 models over the years, I noticed a little consistency in some of the ways they set up the sounds. Now, what I mean by that is you don't get the same sound every time, but you get the same type of sound depending on the button you press. For example, I'm going to put on Frank and the Count. Everybody's got that. It has an EY, easy. It's on our beginner's model, all right? And this is what it sounds like. I'll put on an intro just so you could hear it. It'll sound familiar. I can play from the side, but not this much of a side. But if I stand here, then I have my rear in your face, and I don't want that. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play. Actually, I'll sit down for this. I'm going to play through, and I'm going to push another preset. Okay. I'm going to push number 1. Did you notice what happened to the band? Listen closely. I'm going to go back to the original preset. I'll put on a fill. A lot happening there, right? Now watch what happens when I press number 1. Listen closely. Did But you notice the band didn't have as many band members playing. It shrunk in the amount of members. Some of the band members sat down. And on a lot of the rhythms, I can't say all of them, but I'm guessing it might be this way. And many of the rhythms, when you put style setup 1, the band will be a lot more simplified. And it was a term that Lowrey called easy, an easier setting. So watch. Here's the fill. A lot of musicians there. Number 1. I'm going to do the fill again, but you're just going to hear a drummer, the bass, and maybe a guitar player, I think, or a piano. Not as busy. Even the sound is not as big and bold or anything. Now here's number 2. And number 2, in many of the number 2 style setups, they're very similar that way too. It keeps the band. And what happens many times is this button over here called Orchestra Plus gets turned off when those 2 presets were programmed. Okay? You can do it anytime you want, by the way. If you're playing along, you go, that's a little too busy for me. Just reach up and hit Orchestra Plus. And maybe you don't want to change to a preset for that to happen. Maybe you like the sound that you have, but you want the band to kind of taper down a little bit. Just reach up and hit Orchestra Plus. It's just an old trick we've done many, many times over the years. Let me go to number 1, 2. Now number 3, many times number 3 with style setup on will give me an organ type of sound. I don't know about every time, but I know many times. Let's see if it happens here. Hopefully I prove myself right. This will be embarrassing. This is being recorded. If I get this wrong. Okay, here we go. There we go. So you put on an organ type sound. All right. Number 4 commonly gives us strings, a string type of instrument. Not 100% of the time, because I haven't checked them all. Now, if I check them all, I'll let you know. But more than likely, you're going to get some kind of string instrument. Now, string instrument could be symphonic strings, could be a guitar, could be something that's string related. In this case, it happens to be number 5. I don't know what number 5 does every time here. I'll have to try out a few to let you know, but I know the first 4 are like that. Now what I will tell you is number 8 is usually a big sound. And notice this. Now let me just pick another rhythm and let's test this theory out a little bit on some of the setups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose, we'll go right down to smooth foxtrot. No, let's pick a totally different style. How about Broadway opener? That's usually a big sound here. Style setup 0. That's a pretty big sound. Even in the fill-in, you hear it. Okay? Now let me put on number 1 and see what happens. With the fill-in. All right, now here's number 1. Now notice there's not as much orchestration happening there again. So number 1 kind of tapered it down a little bit. always wanted to be a good whistler. Now I can. Now say number 2. Now number 2 brings in the orchestra plus, but it's not as strong, but it's still there. Now let's see what happens when I do number 3. A puff organ. 4 strings. 5 is, I don't know what 5 is yet. It changes. In this case, it's got vocals. 8 should be big. So point is that you have, when you're using your rhythm styles, every rhythm style has 9 setups for the top and the bottom. Now let's go back to those general presets. Some people say, well, you know, sometimes I like the ones that you get when you first power it on. How can I use these with a rhythm? Okay, I know when I use style setup, it changes those, which is by design, which is good, because you're going to get setup specifically designed. But there's some people that, you know, I kind of like some of these general presets. All you have to remember is this, if you want to do that. Just turn off style setup. Turn off style setup, because it was on standby. If I press that style setup button off, no matter what rhythm I put on, these sounds are no longer going to change. I'm going to always have the general setups. It's a guitar, strings. Okay? Now watch, I'm going to pick a different rhythm. I'm going to use the same ones again. The same sounds are there. Okay? Which is good if you're purposely doing that. Some people do that and then they forget, oh, if I want the style setup back on, and then we don't remember how to do that. You either have to turn it on or turn the organ off and back on. Okay? All right. Before I go to the next part of this, are there any questions about anything I've talked about so far? Any questions out there? Zoomlanders? All right. Now, on the note of presets, we have category setups. I'm using the word presets again, see? I think I did that for my benefit, so I clarified what I might. I'm so used to saying one word or the other. And when I'm on the organs with presets, I'll say the word setup. Okay, so on the Fanfare, you have these what's called category setups, all right? And these are just categories of the most popular sounds that are out in the industry or people would use when they play. And on the category setups, you have symphonic, jazz, swing, country, and then there's one other button. Let's see what the manual says, because it's a little different here. Oh, actually, I could look on the screen here, I know. It might say Latin, but don't hold me to that. Let me take a look here. Fanfare, Fanfare, Fanfare. Now let me type in category setups. And let's see what's this here. Oh, here we go. Category setups, page 16. Okay. That's not page 16. Let's see here. 16. Hopefully, oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, I picked the wrong. I'm looking for it on the wrong stig here. You ever push the wrong button on your computer? You're laughing back here. Does that happen a lot? Okay, I think it's all right. Same page on this one, page 6. You have it on page 16 there? Okay, so there we go. So it's symphonic, jazz/swing, country, and modern. Okay? And then on the journey, it should be those same 4. And then there's a more button, which gives me Latin and nostalgic. Okay, so just so I explain this, I think I know a couple of you have journeys, and I know who's got fan. Okay, so basically, let me just turn the rhythm off for a second. So you have your symphonic. These are sounds that you would find in a symphonic orchestra. So you have from pizzicato strings. Oh, well, I was thinking Norman Bates. We don't want to make this a scary class. Okay. Anyway, so you have some pizzicato string. I'm playing it manually just so you could hear them. You could do the easy button. When you go through, you have more strings, woodwinds. A lot of great sounds in there. Pianos, you have your big finale strings. And I'm just reading what I see in the screen, by the way. I push the button, then read it quickly, so it makes it look like I really know all this in advance. But I don't. Let's see, number 7, forte strings. And our soprano. Okay, so you have your symphonic and you got 8, and then if you take off one of the numbers, you have a number 9, a 9th one on 0. In this case, it says orchestra plus bells with an oboe. And if you go to your jazz and your swing, then you get 9 other different setups, sounds, and instruments that you would find under the swing or jazz category. Now, what you need to know, and this may be a basic thing, but it's good to know. If you're using a rhythm with your style setup, you got a rhythm on, okay? Like I said earlier, when style setup is on, these presets will change every time I pick a different rhythm style or music style, okay? The minute I pick a category, style setup will deactivate, which is by design. It's supposed to. When you select it, now you're using another way to access setups. So just kind of keep that in mind. These will never change. When you do symphonic 0 through 9, jazz 0, those 9 setups will always be the same. Country, you got 0 through 9. And then you have, what I say, modern on the fanfare. Here, what they did is they added more categories. So instead of adding another button or 2, they put a more button, and in the screen, modern shows up, and then your Latin and your nostalgic shows up. And basically, they do the same thing. So if I put on Latin, 0, I have, let's see here, flamenco guitar. And a ping. Ping, by the way, if you see the word ping, it's basically what us guitar players call a harmonic. And what a guitar player does is when we play a guitar, if you put your fingers on certain frets, and this works if you're playing in certain keys, and you don't press all the way down on the strings, but you rest them, you get what's called this pretty harmonic effect. So that's what that means. And then so forth and so forth. You have all these beautiful Latin sounds or instruments you would find commonly in Latin music. If I could play the notes right. I know they're in there somewhere. All right, steel drum. Now, I'll just show one more, and then I got an educational tip for you on this. Nostalgic, this was actually taken off one of the big organs, and so you have Harry and Benny. You know who that is, right? Harry and Benny? It's Harry Johnson and Benny James. No, I'm just kidding. Harry James and Benny Goodman. They don't put the actual names in there because they'll probably have to pay somebody. But, I was trying to remember how to play Stardust, but I don't remember. It's somewhere like that. Benny Goodman. Let's see, we got Tommy and Jimmy. Tommy Dorsey and Jimmy Dorsey. Tommy had a smooth, now they got some great trombones in these, but Tommy's sound was really smooth. And you go on, we have the Stradivarius, cello, and we got the Whistler, and a dog. I don't know why, we gotta have a dog. Got Lombardos, the saxes. All right, so you got all these wonderful categories. Don't fall in the trap, like many of us do, of thinking, well, I love these Latin sounds. And the only way I can play these Latin sounds is with Latin music, right? Wrong. No. These categories are instruments that you find commonly in that style of music, but it doesn't mean you're locked to playing that style of music. You know, for example, I like the jazz swing category on here. I have that sound, what is that called? Swing orchestra, jazz piano. So if I'm using a style like swing, smooth foxtrot, this probably would work with this. There, now I'm getting the song now. It took me a couple tries. That was just some of the sounds from the smooth. But watch this. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to put on Latin, and I'm going to put on Latin, let's see, Trios Romanticos. And I'm going to use the jazz swing category presets with it. Okay? Increase my tempo a little bit. Let's see what we have. So very interchangeable is the point. Yeah, big round of applause. Ooh, the crowd roars. Sometimes I have an organ with an applause, and I just push that. But I have to do this sometimes. Ah! Actually, I think what I'm going to do is bring in a sound effect of bacon frying bacon, because that's how the applause sounds like on some of the organs. Anyway, so those category setups. Now, a couple other things for setups, and then I'm just going to play some music for you, okay, using some of this. So you have song setup on these two marvelous instruments. And song setup, if you're not using it, very simply, is it's going to give you the best suggestion or the most ideal suggestion of a setup for the song you want to play. Most people are used to doing that. And when you use it, it does turn off the style setup. So for example, I'm going to leave the style setup on, and I'm going to go through song setup, and I'm going to find one that interests me here. Let's see here. How about, I wanted to play that one, but I haven't played it in a while. This one, just a good old classic, Can't Help Falling in Love, okay? And I hit select, it sets it up with a great style for that, okay? Now, while the style setup went off, so I'm using the setup from the song setup. While I'm playing, if I want more, just remember to turn back on the style setup. I shouldn't play it that low. Okay. Oh, the intro was playing. Sorry. Here we go. Take 3. Want some more setups, just go back to your style setup and then just use your 8. Number 1, kind of calmed it down a little bit. And if you go to the button next to it, you all have a song button. Now, most people, maybe you figured this out by now, think of the song button as just that. If I put on the song button, it's going to play these wonderful songs. Okay? And yes, they're going to play these wonderful songs. And you have, what is it, 50 or 60 or something like that in there. You got a lot of songs built into it. Okay? But if you like one of the songs that you're hearing, you know, for example, earlier one of the students here wanted to hear the song Hang On Sloopy. So he just came on and selected it. And he was just letting it play. Now if you like the setup, if you like what you're hearing and you want to play that song, just turn off the song button and start playing, because now that setup is there. Let's see if now I need the music for this one. Okay, that's all I know. If I had the music, I could probably. But so you can do that with any song. Let's see. Stand By Me. Let's see what that sounds like. So let it play. It's also cool is you can play along with it if you want it. So if you have the music for it, just put the music up there. Bill Curry, when he recorded these, he's playing usually on one keyboard or the other. So you can kind of tell when he's playing, just go to the hand, put the hand on the other keyboard, and you can play along, and it's a great educational tool. But I like that setup, so I just turned off the song button. Now that setup remains in the organ. Woohoo! So the songs that are recorded in there can also be used as a way of getting, and if you got, I think it's 50 or 60, I know it's 60 here, I think it's close to the same on the Fanfare, but that's basically another 50 or 60 setups that you have that you can, or you can use to play along with, okay? Going back to the song setup, I've had some journey owners thought there was something wrong with the way the song setup was designed. When you turn on the organ, when you put on song setup, most of the Lowrey organs, just in general, over the years, the way it worked was when you put on song setup, the first song title that comes up is an A, because it's alphabetical order, Ach du lieber, whatever the rest of that is, okay? And usually if you go one direction, you go through the A's, B's, and C's. If you go the other direction, it goes back to the Z's and goes backwards alphabetically. Well, with the journey, what they didn't want to do is try to insert all of the new song titles. So what they did is that if I go up, song setup, and if I go up, I'm going through the list like we're used to having. If you go backwards, it doesn't go to Z's yet. It goes backwards alphabetically, A's, B's, and it's all of the new song setups. Okay, so let me rephrase that. So if you turn it on and you have your song set up, Fanfare owners, if you go frontwards or backwards, it'll go A, B, C's, A's, B's, C's. If you go the other direction, it'll go Z's, song, Y, X, etc., etc. On the journey, for you journey owners, you'll notice that it doesn't do that if you go up. But if you go backwards, it also goes alphabetically on the new song setups until you get to a Z. There's like, I want to say 25 or 30. So right now I'm just, for example, I'm going through Alley Cat. That's one, back. Okay, now I'm back to the beginning. Ach du lieber, what was the name of the song? Ach du lieber ... I don't want to butcher the name of the title. Ain't Misbehavin', almost like I'm going Annie's song, Cab Driver. I'm going through, I'm in the G's. There's a handful of new ones, Light My Fire, if you Doors fans out there. Love Me Do, Mission Impossible, Love Potion number 9. So I'll get to the end. Oh, we got some Bee Gees, Stripper, Zippity. Oh, now I'm on the Z's. Now, so it's about 20, give or take. And then if I go backwards, then it goes Z's, Y's, X, okay? So just keep that in mind if you're using your song setups. That was by design, okay? So anyway, what I'm going to do is play some fun styles here for you. I'm going to tell you the style I'm using, and I'll tell you the style setups that I'm using as well. So I'll play a bunch of little songettes, so that way I can fit a bunch in a short run. Actually, I'll do this one here. I'll play a songette of this style called New York Swing. I'm going to use style setup. All right? And then let me play it, and then I'll tell you what I did after it did. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do. I just kind of poke around a little bit. Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm going to do now, and it might be different by the end. So. I'm on number 1. Notice the band kind of just toned down. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Transpose up half step. I'm on number 8. So all those setups should be very similar to both of the models. Journey owners at the end, I just threw in the alter style button. Okay, so alter style, by the way, I've had a lot of people, what is alter style? And then I'll give the answer, and a lot of people look at me like they think I'm being a smart aleck. It's a button that was placed originally on the elite high-end models, but it was designed to do exactly what it says. Alter the style, okay? So earlier we went through and numbered all, we went through and said you got this times, and that's how many rhythms you got, right? So if I put on standard or Broadway, for example, there's a style called opener. That's the one that sounds like, okay? Now if I go to another style here, like New York swing, it is a totally different rhythm style of music. Okay? What alter style does is it takes that same band and it's basically telling that band, continue playing, but play it differently. Sometimes it's elaborate and sometimes it's just enough to change the mood, the feel of the song. So in this case, the drummer come in, the band change, kind of like that ending that you would normally hear. So that's exactly what it does. And it's just a way, it's a little trick we've used many times over the years, and we get known as these great performers, and a lot of our performers are really good at what they do, but what we can't do is tell the musicians to change. We can't do that on our own. The machine has to do it for us. So we just reach up and hit alter style, and the band music changes even though we're playing the same way. So for example, let me put on, let's see, what haven't I done? Here we go. We'll have, oh gosh, that's fun too. I got to play a bunch of little songettes for you. All right, how about I go to, hey, here we go, mixed swing. This style works great with the song Mac the Knife. Now watch what happens when I hit alter style. Here we go. Band just changed, but I still play the same song. Here's a style that many of you had. It's started back even on our smaller Easy Series models. It's one that many people love to do and use, and it works with a lot of great songs, not just the song that it's designed for. Where is it? I just saw it here. Where is it? Oh, you know what? I have a feature here. I could find my styles. When all else fails, I just look for it. Alphabetically, there it is. Okay, so under my ballad category, a lot of you are familiar with the style Wonderful World, which is a pretty, and it's most people play. And that works great for that song, but if you let that play out, listen to the band. All of those fills are built into that style, so if you play that song, it'll work just like the original song. But if I want to play a totally different song like Can't Help Falling in Love or any songs of that feeling and that nature, I don't want the Wonderful World fills, so you can do something like this. Just put on alter style, let me hear off, and it just changes it a little bit. Unchained melody. All right, I'll play just a couple more songs for you just for the heck of it. Let's see, you know what? Let's see how this works out here. Where did I see it? I saw a style, I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of fun to play. I'll do a little New Orleans pianist here. Here we go. Speed it up. Oh, no, I pushed the wrong button. I did it again. You ever push, did that happen to you on the organ? I know on the computer, no, not on the organ? Okay. This is being recorded. This is embarrassing. Okay. Years ago, I had to learn the song Just a Closer Walk With You. I wanted to learn the song, and I heard some of the staff members playing, and they said, you should go out and buy the cassette. This was back in the 90s. You couldn't go on YouTube. You should go out and buy some cassettes and listen to the way the artist did it. Well, when you're broke, making $4.35 an hour, this was in the 90s, so I guess that was big money then. I'd have spent $8 on a cassette to hear one song, Pete Fountain, and I heard Closer Walk With You, and oh, that's pretty cool. And he kind of had this New Orleans style with his clarinet. So this kind of reminded me of it. Alter style. How about a little fake it? Now I got two ways to do fake it, so I could do it like what most people do, wiggle. Or I could do it like this. A lot of work. play one more song for you today. Hope you enjoyed the class. I hope I learned you a thing or two. Did you learn something today? Did you learn something today? We always say if you learn at least one thing that you can take home with you and put to use right away, then we've done our job well. And hopefully you got a few little tips. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this with a little bit of a disclaimer. As long as I have an instrument of this category, in about a week or two, I'm probably going to do another workshop and then touch on some other topics that besides the ones we did today, okay? So, because as I was playing this and showing off, and I was looking at the instrument, and I kind of glanced at my watch, and I was like, I really want to talk about this feature too, and I want to talk about that one. I'm not going to have enough time. I thought I'd cram a bunch in an hour, but it's not possible. Okay, we got so much in these marvelous instruments. Anyway, I'm going to finish off with a little upbeat here. Usually I have music with this, so if I goof up, I can't edit it out. Let's see, let me find it. Actually, a lot of people like the style because it's a style that's inspired by the movie Grease. I actually like it because I love playing the song Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and his Comets. And so whenever I use this style, I get to do the best of both worlds. I do a little bit of Grease and a little Bill Haley and his Comets. Okay, the style is called You're the One, and then I'll play a little bit of that and then switch over to Rock Around the Clock. Are you ready? That means you got to dance. Here we go, here we go. Boy, this guy's got a lot of breath. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this wonderful presentation and demonstration and education. And you learned, and conversation, and all my little goofs ups in there too. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to your personal assistant. If you got a notification in the email from me today, that's my email. So, and if you want the song, if you wait around a few minutes, I can dig it up pretty quickly and get that to that soliloquy song that I told, Through the Eyes of Love, soliloquy song. Through the Eyes of Love, theme from Ice Castle. Just
I hadn't went yet when I was
just
up.
email me. Just email me at rroman@fletchermusic.com, and I'll get that to you. I'll reply back and attach it to you. and we can go from there. And keep your eye out for the emails. If I have it in my schedule, I'll squeeze it in another workshop next week, and we'll do some other button pushing fun, okay? Thank you so much. Stay safe. Keep playing music. And mwah, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.